Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the Sparkling Autos YouTube channel. In this video I'm reviewing the brand new MJJC Foam Cannon S version 3. So I'd like to kick off the video with a quick unboxing before putting the new foam cannon through its paces. And we'll look at the product in more detail towards the end of the video, including a comparison with the much better known MJJC Pro V2.0 cannon. Having said that, first impressions are very important, and straight out of the box I must say this is very well presented and well packaged. As you can see, it takes less than a minute to assemble, starting off with the weighted filtered pickup pipe. Then you have the option to change to the conveniently supplied smaller orifice for users with lower pressured machines, and once you've done that, simply fit the interchangeable connection and then you're ready to attach the bottle. Now those eagle-eyed regular viewers among you may well indeed notice the bottle of MJJC Snow Foam Shampoo sitting here, which was so rather unceremoniously dumped in a recent video, but for those of you who haven't seen that, let's take a little trip back in time. So when I featured this product as part of my Quick Test Tuesday series, as per my own rules, I followed the instructions exactly, which meant adding 100ml of product to 900ml of water. Now I just found it to be too thick, too creamy, quite frankly too messy, and when you looked at the price at the time of $19, it was too expensive. So there could only be one honest result. Returning to the present day then, and we're fishing the product back out of the bin. So what has changed? Well, after my review of the product, the price dropped dramatically by around 35%. Now I'm sure that's purely coincidental and has nothing whatsoever to do with me or my review, but it certainly has a major impact on one of the reasons why I rejected this product in the first place. So with that in mind, when MJJC asked me to review the new Foam Cannon S version 3, I thought it only fair to give the Snow Foam Shampoo another go as well. Now as this isn't a Quick Test Tuesday video, I don't have to follow the instructions on the bottle, because I think that even with the vastly reduced price, 100ml per wash is just far too expensive. It's not cost effective, certainly not for me anyway. So what I've done instead is add 30ml of product to 500ml of water, which I know is more than enough to ground even a large car, but I just want to see, is watering it down by that much actually going to have such a negative effect on the product? Well, there's only one way to find out, so let's get on with it. So after generously coating the car with the product, there was still more than enough left in the Foam Cannon S to add some shampoo solution into the wash bucket for the wash mitts. I then utilised the new Foam Cannon's quick opening system just to give it a quick rinse out before proceeding with the contact wash. When it comes to product reviewing, there are two equally important aspects: facts and feelings. So before I get into my own feelings in this product based on my user experience, we'll take a quick look at the facts of the foam shampoo and ask why I'm reviewing it for a second time. I lift my eyes from your lips to the heavenly skies. It took me a million years to find you, and I can't wait another day. You don't have to be worried, 'cause what we have is rare. So on paper it may seem like a no-brainer, with the cost per wash now less than a fifth of the price it was when I tested it last November, as per the instructions and of course the price at the time. But just because the price has changed doesn't mean the product will have. So has my perception of it changed now that I'm using 60ml per litre instead of the recommended 100, which is a 40% reduction? Well, strangely enough it has. I'll probably never be a fan of this particular wash method, but I can see how it may be beneficial to some people. I live in a typically cool, damp climate where it rains 8 days a week, but if it was much hotter, I can actually see, particularly with dark coloured cars, the advantages of blanketing them in a thick white foam to carry out the wash. It can keep panel temperatures cooler and give you more working time. Which is possibly why this method is so popular in the US and less so in this wet and windy archipelago I live on in Northwest Europe.
It took me a million years to find you, and I can't wait another day.
To answer my own question then, reducing the amount of product used by almost half doesn't appear to have any downsides in terms of usability. You can clearly see it still produces more than enough creamy suds, and they certainly aren't lacking anywhere in the slickness department. I should also highlight that because I was recording the footage for the video, the contact wash stage probably took upwards of 40 to 45 minutes, and at no stage did I feel any urgency to remove the shampoo for fear of it drying onto the bodywork. Of course, this could largely be down to using it, as MJJC intended, in the new Foam Cannon S version 3, which I must say performed particularly well when applying the foam. And with that being said, it's time to get the rest of the product rinsed off and do what we came here to do, which is take a look at the Foam Cannon in more detail. Time then to take a closer look at the MJJC Foam Cannon S version 3, although to be honest that's a bit of a mouthful, so for the rest of the video I think I'll just call it the S. So the first thing which stands out about this particular foam cannon or lance is that large clear plastic bottle. Now whilst it may look great, its clear PTE construction or polyethylene terephthalate means that it would also be very susceptible to scratching, so try not to drop it. I'd also avoid using boiling water and leaving stronger chemicals in the bottle for prolonged periods, but to be honest I'd probably say the same about any foam lance. And what else can I say about the S which separates it from most other foam cannons? Well, it's hard not to be impressed with the quick release style bottle attachment. Just a quarter turn to get the bottle off and on saves so much headache from lining up plastic threads, particularly with wet hands. The design also means that the bottle decals and the lance itself are always aligned, which can be very satisfying to some people, myself included. But what about the features that people have come to associate with the MJJC range? Well, if you can look past the fresh blue and white colour scheme, this is where the S model starts to look more recognisable to those familiar with the Pro V2 lance, and there's a good reason for that which we'll come back to in a few minutes. With the connector removed, we can see the easily accessible standard 1.25mm orifice, and for users with lower powered machines, as in no more than 110 to 115 power, they also supply a 1.1mm orifice to help generate a thicker foam, and this can be swapped out with nothing more tactical than a flathead screwdriver. And returning to the connector, for anybody unfamiliar with the typical MJJC setup, these are easily interchangeable depending on your pressure washer type, this particular one being for a 1/4 inch quick release connection, but most other types are available including multiple Kärcher, Nilfisk and Kranzel systems. Look inside the connector and you'll see a replaceable O-ring around the inner pipe. This is where the seal will be formed when screwing it onto the lance. I'm only highlighting this because I've actually seen some people using PTFE tape around the outer threads, but this is completely unnecessary as the seal is actually formed on the inside. And because it's an O-ring seal, this doesn't need to be any more than hand tight. I'll just remove the bottle for my own convenience to show you the next part here, which is another feature from the Pro lance, one which most users thought was a great idea, the double spray pattern adjustment. So not only could you adjust the fan's width like most other lances, but it could be adjusted to any angle with a full 360-degree range. The problem, however, was with the execution, as the overwhelming majority of users found that trying to adjust the rotation setting inadvertently resulted in the fan's width being adjusted, so it really was a two-handed operation which just wasn't practical. As you can see though, they appear to have fixed that issue, but I wonder will that still be the case after prolonged use. I guess only time will tell. Finally then, before we compare the S with its Pro stablemate, is a pretty standard feature for any lance worth having, the water flow rate adjuster. Simply set all the way to plus for more water and less foam, or all the way to minus for less water and more foam. Couldn't be any simpler. So since the S was released, people naturally wanted to draw comparisons with the ever popular MJJC Pro V2. But what is the difference between the two, or other than cosmetic changes, is there any difference? Well, let's take a closer look and find out. Well, clearly there's one blatantly obvious difference, the bottles. So the Pro has a wide bottomed, traditional screw-in bottle with a frosted finish, and to be honest, I prefer this bottle over the S. It feels more durable, it's less prone to visible scratching, and the wider base yet shorter height gives it a much lower centre of gravity, making it much less susceptible to falling over. Despite this, the S bottle is certainly aesthetically pleasing, and that quick connection is not without its advantages. You can even see that those dimensional differences are significant despite both bottles having the same 1 litre capacity, and the S's reasonably wide neck actually fits inside the Pro's. Beyond the bottle, the colour scheme would appear to be the only difference between the two lance assemblies, despite my best efforts to find differences, although I did find one mechanical change which I'll come to in a moment. But even the connectors are interchangeable between the devices. See what I mean? Now let's put that one back where it belongs. Of course, one improvement I've already mentioned is the S's ability to change the spray fan's width and angle independently, and with only one hand, something the Pro struggles with. Whether this is a change in components or simply a quality control improvement at the manufacturing end, I don't know, but the S is a definite improvement in this area. Which leads me on to the only actual mechanical difference I've found between the lances, the weighted pickup filter. As insignificant as this difference may seem, I think it's worth mentioning again as it does appear to be an improvement for quality reasons rather than cost. So you can see here that the pickup filter on the newer S model has a nicely machined, presumably brass outlet pipe pressed into the filter housing, whereas the Pro model, despite having an almost identical filter housing, has a plastic outlet pipe. Now I've been using the Pro 2 for a couple of years now with no breakages or issues, but I couldn't find any other differences, so I have to at least highlight something, and this is all I've got. And again, apart from the obvious colour change, the S does retain another great MJJC feature, and that's the soft flexible pickup pipe. Oh, and I forgot to mention one final difference between the bottles. So the Pro has these finger recesses around the bottom, which make it easy to grip when screwing it off and on the lance. And whilst the S has similar recesses, they're much shallower. However, it does offer a much larger recess, which runs down the full height of the bottle, again making it easier to grip when attaching and removing it from the lance. So we've established that, apart from the bottle and a few cosmetic differences, mechanically these two foam cannons are pretty much identical, and in reality they're just two different trim levels of the same device. It's a personal preference which one to choose. Even the price difference is pretty much negligible. At the time of making this video, I checked a few websites for prices, and in the UK there's really only £3 between them. So in all honesty, if you don't have an MJJC foam cannon and you can't decide between the two, just go with the one you like the look of, as the performance will be pretty much identical. As for the shampoo foam, well I think I've actually changed my mind on that too, and it's going to stay on the shelf. I'll even leave you with a shot of the water after a single bucket wash. And that's pretty much all I have to say. If you liked the video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one. Take care.